Thank you very much, Al. So just a quick introduction again so that we get it on the recording. My name is Venkat Iyer. I have Ryan Mitchell and Pamela Growlich on the call from our Employee Workflow Solutions. And we're going to be discussing today the ServiceNow applications that are used to support a safe and healthy return to the workplace. This is the 5th Tech Talk in a series for the US Air Force and the US Air Force webinar series. And once again, if you have any questions for the new folks who have joined, please go ahead and put them in the Q&A, and our moderation team will get to them as soon as possible. Our agenda for today, first, we're going to go ahead and give you kind of a baseline ServiceNow overview of what the platform is and some of the applications that we support. And then I'll go ahead and hand it over to Ryan and Pamela to discuss the current market conditions and impact of COVID-19, the guidelines for opening up America again, which will set the context for some of the applications we'll discuss today. Then Pamela will go ahead and do a demonstration of Safe Workplace application, and we'll leave time for a question and answer session at the end. To get started, what is the ServiceNow platform? Well, ServiceNow is a cloud-based workflow automation platform. This platform allows you to digitize processes that were previously manual to make work move more efficiently throughout an organization. Doing so breaks down the silos of information, eliminates swivel chair interactions, and produces productivity improvements and cost savings that lead to great experiences for end users and customers. What we're looking at here on the screen is that Now platform and some of our well-organized core capabilities. All these capabilities are organized on a single platform with a single data model to help you consolidate this information along workflows that are easier to manage. The platform includes core capabilities like a workflow engine that enables you to digitize processes that were previously manual, automate them, and gain that visibility into where exactly work lies within the organization. A configuration management database, or CMDB, is a system of relevance that allows you to bring in information about business services, the applications that support them, users within your organization, and groups that actually conduct the work, in order to make sure that the right groups have the right information at the right time in order to conduct their work and be able to provide a high quality of service. Other capabilities include a knowledge base and service catalog that enables your end users to go from a reactive answering of their questions or requests to a proactive ability to solve their own problems by either leveraging institutional knowledge or tribal knowledge that's shared within an organization and a centralized knowledge base, and by having a well-organized service catalog that enables your users to drive down and drill into exactly what sort of requests they have, answer questions on their own if possible, and give back time to your frontline workers to do the higher value tasks within the organization. There are many other capabilities within the Now platform as it's constantly growing. We have two family releases per year. And so these capabilities are always being enhanced and added to as work goes on. Now, this platform supports multiple different workflow conversations and applications that are built using these capabilities. ServiceNow started in kind of the IT workflow conversation space with your classic service desk management. As time went on, more and more of the processes within an organization were supported, including things like managing IT as a business, using project management capabilities, the ability to do operations and configuration management to understand exactly what the business services are and what applications are that support them. So IT workflows really contains all that internal IT conversation around how service is being provided within a business. In more recent years, we've had additional conversations around employee workflows and customer workflows. Employee workflows refer to all of the changes that an employee or a member of your organization may go through in their life, whether it's onboarding, offboarding, the ability to request certain items like payroll information, any changes that an employee might go through in the course of doing business. And the customer workflows conversation is around how do you provide a high level of end user service to customers outside of your organization. Not every request is going to be related to IT. And so these sort of workflows help support the conversation of external case management. ServiceNow also supports no-code or low-code application development that use the same capabilities that are available on the platform and that have been used to build the other out-of-the-box applications. If you see something on the applications that doesn't exactly match to the way that your business, your organization runs its service, you can either extend the existing services or build out your own applications using those capabilities and do so without needing to leverage an entire development team. Using drag and drop capabilities, ServiceNow platform is very easy to use to construct very complex applications without having a development background. Now, these workflows are accessible through a multitude of different channels and different means that have grown over the past few years, including mobile applications, over the web through a browser, or through conversational agents like Microsoft Teams and Slack. And we understand that ServiceNow is not going to be your only system of record. As an organization, you have many legacy applications and platforms that you use that contain valuable information that need to be included in these workflows. ServiceNow is the platform of platforms that acts as that kind of connective tissue between the workflows that you're trying to manage and the important information that you want to include, enabling you to leverage both to gain those real efficiencies in how work is done. Today, we're going to be focusing on a conversation that would more fit under the employee workflow areas of our ServiceNow conversations. With a safe return to workplace applications, you're able to manage how your employees are returning to work in an age of the COVID crisis and enable you to plan for future crises that may occur. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to Ryan to provide more context around the safe workplace applications.
Thank you, Venkat, and good morning, everyone. Venkat, can you hear me? Just to do an audio check very quickly.
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Thank you very much. And Venkat, I'm going to share my screen.
Sure.
Bear with me. And then I'm going to share it out. All right. So again, good morning, everyone. To Venkat's point, my name is Ryan Mitchell, and I am part of the Employee Workflows business unit. When Venkat went through that introduction of the platform, you saw the different families of solutions, the IT workflows, employee workflows, and customer workflows. Myself and Pamela live within those employee workflows business unit, and in more detail, the safe workplace application lives within that family of solutions. My role with ServiceNow is to work with our customers and our potential customers within the Air Force. So we're obviously going to be a resource today, but we're more than happy to be a resource after today if there's more detailed conversations that we do need to get into. And again, on the housekeeping item that Venkat mentioned earlier, if there are questions throughout the series, throughout the session, please put them in chat, the Q&A, and we have a team of people there who are going to monitor that. And then we're going to find some points throughout the discussion to pause and take some of those questions and answer them if need be. And we'll have about 10 minutes towards the end to do a Q&A as well. We have those 60 minutes. First two items is going to be, again, the impact of COVID-19 on the workplace, and then we'll touch on the guidelines from the White House, and that's going to lead us very nicely into the live demonstration that we're going to do. So COVID-19, obviously a term we all know, and COVID-19 has obviously changed the way we work. It's changed the way we live virtually every day of our lives now. But in reality, and I'm sure we all embrace this at this point, we all need to go back to work, right? We all need to go back to the base eventually. And returning to work, as we call it, is not just an operations challenge, and it's not just an IT challenge. It's also a people issue. It's a personnel issue. And in some situations, it's a personal issue for some workers, whether they're airmen, whether they're civilians, or whether they're contractors. And as bases start to reopen their doors to those workers, all leaders across virtually all bases have to create a safe, accommodating, healthy workplace. That traditional office place, that traditional base, that traditional desktop workplace will likely change as a result of COVID-19. And bases are going to need to start preparing for the unknown going into the future, or potentially a resurgence of COVID-19. As awful it is to hear that, bases and organizations in the private sector are all preparing for what could potentially happen next. And the goal is to make airmen, make civilians, make contractors feel safe, feel secure, and feel enabled to work anywhere while they're on base. And that means there's a need for the business functions, the directorates, the groups within an organization or a base to work together so that they can deliver these experiences. And with any crisis, there's always an opportunity. There's always an opportunity to change. And that type of crisis and change is really accelerating a lot of agencies' digital transformation. All agencies within the DoD and beyond the DoD are planning for not only workforce readiness, but also workplace readiness. And again, these are probably long-term changes, maybe even permanent changes to the workplace. And the federal government, and specifically the DoD in this case, is actively planning to ramp back up operations as quickly as possible. But in doing that, making sure they are consistent with the national guidelines from the White House and the Opening Up America Again guidelines that they issued. But along with that, they want to make it consistent with the DoD's 5-phase plan for reopening. So the DoD is currently shifting from, call it pandemic mode, which is phase 0, and moving to phase 4, which is normal operations. And the DoD and the Pentagon is using the White House issued criteria and looking at things like declines in reported symptoms, declines in new cases, but also hospital access in said area. And then the DoD plan also looks at things like a drop in cases among military personnel, but also looking at the surrounding communities of a base. So there's very much a local component to all of this. And the guidelines, they obviously incorporate different gating criteria that must be met in a certain state or county before proceeding to the next phase of the reopening process. And once bases and different agencies have put together these policies and procedures that are consistent with the guidelines for employers, and that's what you're seeing here, these are the guidelines from the White House, then bases, then leadership can begin transitioning operations to that phase 3 or that phase 4 and bringing back airmen, bringing back civilians, bringing back contractors on a more regular basis. And many of these components that you see here, this is what we're going to focus on today from a demo perspective. So looking at things like social distancing, that buzzword we always hear about now, social distancing at work and leveraging and managing PPE at work, personal protective equipment at work, doing temperature checks before entering buildings or bases, having a proactive approach with preventing the spread at work, testing, isolation, contact tracing, all buzzwords that we all know about, and we'll talk about that today. Workplace sanitation, cleaning high traffic areas, common work areas on base. And then last, some of the things we'll touch on are this idea of restricting business travel and incorporating more telework opportunities for workers. And as we talk today about ServiceNow, ServiceNow can be that platform that Venkat just walked us through that can help coordinate all these activities and all these services to get the workforce ready, but also the workplace ready. And as bases make this transition back to work and physically having people on base again, there are going to be process challenges and people challenges. And this is where ServiceNow can help. In March of 2020, so when all this was breaking across the globe, we rolled out a series of emergency response management applications. These are the 4 areas you see here: the emergency self-report, emergency outreach, emergency exposure management, and then emergency response. That came out in March. Then in May, so just over a month, we also rolled out our safe workplace applications. And this is what we're going to focus on today, are these safe workplace applications. And we're going to walk you through these 6 components and give a live demonstration of all these different pieces. The real focus of the applications is really threefold. One is engaging with employees, so engaging with airmen, civilians, and even contractors if necessary, to one, inform them of policies, procedures, what is going on, but along with that, we want to listen. We want to hear what they're saying. Where are they concerned? Can they physically come back? Is their family life in order where they can come back? We want to better understand that so that we can plan. And then as they do physically come back, automating those steps for returning to the workplace, and then bringing all of this together and creating and managing a safe, employee-friendly work environment on a day-to-day basis. These are the 3 main areas that we're going to talk about today through a demo, and these are the 5 main applications of the Safe Workplace application as a whole. So we'll start with looking at employee readiness surveys. So sending out surveys to employees, again, airmen, civilians, contractors even, so that you can get a pulse of where they are. Do they have the ability to come to work? Are they healthy enough? Is their home life in order where they can come back? And you can use those results to plan and do workspace planning on base. Then as they show up and they're coming on base, they're coming into a building, you can do health screenings. You can verify temperature of employees to confirm it falls within certain guidelines. You can verify they have the right PPE to get in the door, and then you have visibility to all those moving pieces. Then as they're coming into the base or the office and they're working there every day, you can monitor PPE resources. You can do inventory management by location, by facility, get real-time updates on all of your PPE inventory. And then this concept of workplace safety, letting employees select or reserve workspaces that are socially distanced, so they're 6 feet away, and they have been cleaned. So this idea of hoteling is probably going to become very popular moving forward, where employees who are coming in, or contractors, airmen, civilians, whoever it may be, as they come in, they can select where they want to work that is going to be 6 feet apart and has recently been cleaned, so you know it's sanitized. And you can manage all of that through these applications. And then just recently, as of, I believe, almost 2 weeks ago, we rolled out contact tracing. Big buzzword around contact tracing 6 months ago. I don't think any of us knew what contact tracing was. Now it's a word we all know all too well. So this is really looking at case management 101, where you can create cases, manage cases when there is a situation where someone has been exposed to COVID-19, and now you can automate the tasks with any type of interview or follow-up or what to do when there is exposure. And all of this is brought together in one consolidated dashboard where you can bring in all the results, all the data across these applications, so you have that consolidated view of everything happening. So I'm going to pause there, and we're going to move into the live demo portion. And Pamela is going to jump in. I'm going to stop sharing, Pamela. Pamela's going to jump in and walk us through some of the personas.
Before you start, we just have a quick question that came in, which is, what is the cost for these applications? I was wondering if you could speak to that.
Sure. The way the cost works, it's an all-employee model, meaning that how many quote-unquote employees, so they can be contractors, it can be civilians, obviously airmen, have access to the actual applications to do really anything. So it's looking at the number of people. So if it's essential employees that are coming to base every day, we could base it on that number, or if it's the whole population where you want to do surveys for everyone, that is how it's modeled. It's looking at the entire population of people that you want to use this application.
Thank you very much, Ryan.
Sure.
Thanks, Ryan. I just want to make sure, can everyone see my screen? It says live demo, push button.
Yes, I can see it.
We're able to see it. Yep.
Perfect. Okay, so during the demonstration today, I'm going to take you on a journey through the eyes of various individuals who are involved in the return to workplace efforts. As mentioned earlier, my name is Pamela Grelick. I'm an advisory solution consultant here at ServiceNow, and it's an exciting time, as we've kind of been talking about with what's going on in the world today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off this demonstration in a leadership role, someone who is really interested in all of the metrics and really focused on the big picture. Next, we're going to move into a role where we'll look at an airman or a civilian or a contractor who's taking action and responding to a readiness survey, providing health check-in information, engaging with a virtual agent to get some help, get some guidance on some situations that he's concerned about, because this is really a very confusing time and a very emotional time for a lot of people. Then we're going to look at someone who owns the overall process around safe workplace and return to work. Now, for you, this may be a variety of individuals at your agency, but for today's demonstration, I'm just going to have Anna here be my super user. She's going to handle everything from the monitoring of health screenings, contact management, managing shifts, managing spaces, managing the cleaning, sanitation activities, as well as the PPE inventory. And then we're going to wrap up the session with a manager who's reviewing some important content and managing her team's return. So let's go ahead and start with Helen, right? So she's the leader in our crisis resolution team, and she's really focused on getting the airmen back to the base. And she and the team have decided that they're going to take a phased approach to getting everyone back on base. So she has a dashboard where she can monitor how airmen are feeling about coming back, what their actual health status is, how well they're doing around getting the bases and offices ready, ensuring that they're really following that high level of safety at the workplace. So let's go in and get to Helen's dashboard. So this is actually a worldwide dashboard that she can visually see how the bases or offices that are in their phase 1 reopening plan are progressing. Now she can see the green thumbs up and the red exclamation points, which tell her that there are some alerts in a few of these areas. So let's actually drill down into some of those locations and really take a look at what's going on. So as she drills into this area, she sees that there's actually 2 bases. One's doing well from a reopening perspective because we've got that green thumbs up. The other one, not so much. So what she wants to do is drill into the details of that particular location. And so as she starts to drill into that, she'll be able to see a lot more information. It's very site-specific information for her. And she's going to be presented with a dashboard that's going to answer questions for her like, you know, should this base be open and operational? Is there enough PPE inventory at the base? You know, how are airmen feeling about coming back? What do they need to feel comfortable? So as we open and look at this particular dashboard, you know, in the upper left-hand corner, she can see the percentage of those who are ready to go back to the base, which we can see it's actually gone down since the last time we checked. Below that, she's got some survey results from our most recent survey asking airmen if they are ready. You know, we can see that 38% are not ready, so we might want to start digging into those individuals and understanding, you know, why aren't they ready. In the center here, she can see the status of everyone who's actually done some self-reporting of their status. Now, this is actually, we're going to take a look at this a little bit later when we get to Craig, the action-oriented airman here. But this is being fed from the surveys and the response to that self-reporting. Now, as she continues to look at this dashboard, she can see, you know, how many people are being successfully admitted on base and those being rejected over time. On the right here, she can see how many spaces are being reserved so that she can ensure the capacity and the shifts are in compliance with social distancing norms that we want to enforce. She can even see, track personal protective equipment. What's our inventory look like across the bases? And then, you know, here's workplace cleaning activities. You know, are we actually doing all the things we should be doing in each one of the locations on base? And then the very bottom here, this is showing her how many contact tracing cases have been submitted and all of the tasks that are associated with those contact tracing cases. Now, all of this information on her dashboard, this really serves as her command central. And so, you know, it gives her a bird's eye view of what might need to happen, how she might need to engage with different groups across her internal task force who are managing, you know, the overall situation. And this can help her to build, you know, the right strategies as they move forward with their reopening plans. So let's move to our next role, right? This experience is the airman or the civilian or the contractor, right? Craig here has been working from home and has now been identified in the group to return to base. So he's in that phase 1 audience. Now, Craig has stated that he's not quite ready because he's got a pre-existing health issue. So he has some concerns about that, hence his apprehension. So let's go ahead and take a look at Craig's experience and how he can respond to surveys and get additional information that he needs to feel comfortable to return. So I'm actually going to do this from my mobile device. Now, yes, Craig can do it from a mobile device or his desktop. Either way works. The experience is extremely similar from a perspective of, at the top here, we can see that, you know, we've pushed out content to him to keep him in the know about, you know, what's being done at the base to protect him once he's ready to return. You know, so we can have different knowledge articles, some advice, base plans, resources, anything that we really want to keep him informed with. So earlier, Craig did see a notification pop up on his mobile. So yes, we can send a push notification to mobile devices, or we can send a link in a text, or we can just send an email, or we can send a combination of any of those three things to notify the airman that, hey, we'd like to get his feel for, how he feels about coming back to work. So now as he gets started on this survey, he's presented with a set of predetermined questions that are asking him, has he traveled in the past month? Well, yes, he has. He actually went to Spain recently. And so all of these questions are configurable. What you're seeing is out of the box, but you can actually have the information that you're really looking to have the airman answer to understand, how he really feels about returning. So as we said earlier, Craig's not really ready to return. So he's going to answer the questions as appropriate. So maybe he's concerned about his own health issues. He's got some allergies and things. And then he'll go ahead and submit that survey. So now he's able to submit this based on his own readiness to come back. And all of the results that we just collected here are posted on that dashboard that you just saw with Helen, right? Another thing that Craig can do here on his mobile device is self-report his current situation. So again, this is configurable to meet your desired responses that you're looking for from your airmen, from your civilians. So once Craig says, okay, he's going to say, maybe I'm going to decline to say here, whatever that response is, again, that feeds back into the dashboard that we originally saw with Helen a moment ago. Now, you could have a policy document attached here where Craig can be informed about, what's happening with the data that he's submitting here, stating the information that he's submitting is correct, whatever you need for him to understand or sign off on these different tasks that we've just gone through. So thinking about his readiness, I mentioned he has the concerns, right? He said that, he has some allergies, and so he knows that his former office space had a ventilation system above it. So he's really interested about what we're doing around the filtration, what measures we're taking around the ventilation system and filtration and so forth. So I've gone ahead and he's going to actually engage with the virtual assistant here and have a little chat to understand what's going on. So he can actually type in what he's looking for. So he has concerns about the ventilation system. Now he could use a talk to text if he wanted to as well. And as he submits this, our natural language understanding in the background here is mapping him to the right conversation in the right group, whether it's HR, whether it's IT, or in this particular case, you can see here, it's our health and safety team. So the virtual agent is starting to provide him with articles that may help him find the answers that he's looking for. So as he looks at this, he might read through it and decide, what, that's really not helping me. It didn't answer my question. So I'd like to actually continue on this conversation. And the next thing is, hey, do you want to open up a case? Maybe we'll get you talking with one of the case agents. Yeah, I think that would be a great idea. And one of the specific things that I'm looking for is I want an air purifier. So can I get an air purifier for my space? And so as he sends that along, this information is all being captured. The virtual agent is telling him, look, we're going to have somebody contact you. And the nice thing is he's had a great experience here. It was really easy, didn't have to do very much. All of the information that's collected is going to be included in that case so that the person that picks this up doesn't have to start from scratch with him. The case agent will know exactly where Craig is in the conversation, so this is a much better experience. Now, let's go ahead and fast forward Craig here for a moment. Let's say that he's got all of his questions answered, and he's actually thinking that he is ready to return to the workspace. And so what he's going to do is he's sitting at home and he knows that he's going to return on Monday, and the first thing he's going to do is look for an office space because everything's been changed at the office. His normal location has been changed because we're now inputting all of this social distancing with all of our spaces. So he's going to go in, do a search into the knowledge base to really look for, okay, what is he trying to do? Well, we can reserve a space, reserve a shift. we're going to do both of those things. We're going to reserve the shift and the space for the day. Now, Craig is going to be presented with a form where he then can make selections. So he is in the Americas region, and he, in fact, is not going to go back to his initial site up in Washington. He's actually going to be going down to the San Jose office because it's opening first. And so he's going to go to that office. He's going to choose the date that he's going to go back, and it's going to be on Monday. And then we can choose shifts. So you can create different shifts that you can have the airmen coming back to the base. It could be, you know, maybe you have two different shifts, one shift that works Monday, Wednesday, Friday, another shift that works Tuesday, Thursday. You know, Tuesday, Thursday has 10 hours, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 hours, you know, whatever the case may be. Now, the great thing here for Craig is that not only is he being allowed to select his space, but he's got a visual of what the office looks like. And so here he can drill in and take a look at which spaces are available in green here, or which are already taken. Well, we see that this one's already taken. I'm just going to actually choose this one that's a little bit far away from that particular one and go ahead and submit that. So now in the background, the system's actually going in and taking a look. Is this spot available? It might go through an approval process. You might have a workspace admin that's taking a look. And as soon as we're able to confirm this, Craig will then get that notification, and here it is. His workspace reservation has been confirmed. So when he shows up on Monday, he knows exactly where to go. Now, like the space reservation, when he comes into the office, he's going to need to do one more thing before he enters. And that is he needs to actually be screened from a temperature perspective, take his temperature. And then he also needs to confirm that he has the appropriate PPE to enter the base. So like the space reservation, we can do this in two ways. One, we can have the airman take his own temperature, submit it into a form on his device or on this desktop, and along with the confirmation that he has the appropriate PPE. And if he meets that requirement, he can immediately receive, you know, entry accepted notification, and he can show that, you know, we can give him a QR code that then can be generated upon that approval and show that to the front entrance person in order to allow him access. The second way you can do this is have someone else be entering this entry information, taking the temperature and checking for PPE. So you could have someone at the front gate or the front entrance of the base taking temperatures, checking for the PPE. So in fact, this is a good spot to let's go ahead and switch roles again, because we're going to actually move on to Anna, who's our super user for today. So she's on the workplace, return to workplace task force, and we're going to show you how she can actually monitor the screenings. So like as Craig enters the gate, and then if somebody has a high temperature, she can start that contact tracing case that needs to be created. And then we'll also look at how she can manage shifts, workspace reservations, taking a look at those cleaning tasks, and wrapping up with PPE requests and inventory. So let's move over to Anna. And the first thing here is that she's looking at a dashboard that to see what's happening across the different bases that are reopening from an employee health screening perspective. So it's a holistic level of view by base where she can identify different trends, see how many folks are getting declined, how many people are getting approved and can enter the building. She can see that across the different locations. She does notice one here that actually has a high amount of declines. So she might want to drill into that and take a look at what's going on. And so from this list, we can really see everyone who's come in, when they've come in, and what their results are from that entry. And the first thing here she notices is that everybody's more or less passing the temperature. There's a few in here that did not pass. So maybe we'll want to look at those individuals. But one thing I wanted to note here is that we're not actually capturing the temperature number. we're just capturing that pass or fail. So when you think about security and personal information, you know, we might not want to capture the number. It's just a matter of, are we letting them in or not based on the temperature thresholds that we've set. For those that we have passing, let's take a look at the PPE results. Is it that they're not bringing PPE? Well, it looks like most people aren't. So this again gives Anna an indication that, well, maybe we should have some PPE on hand at the front entrance. So if somebody passes the temperature, we can give them the PPE so that they can then enter. Now let's take a step back here, because we looked at that, but let's go ahead and take a look at how that information got to that report. So the first person to come to the base this morning is Craig, as we were just looking at. This is how you can have that front entrance person come in and enter the information for the employee. So I'm going to find my employee, Craig Parks. We've got our location. And let's say that I do his temperature reading and it is 102. So I put that in here. He does have his PPE equipment, and I'm going to go ahead and submit that. Now immediately the system is checking those thresholds. It sees the temperature is 102, our threshold's 100, he's over it. We're going to decline entry to the base. Now this also is a trigger, because this trigger says, okay, we've got somebody who has a high temperature, we're declining their access, we need to start a contact tracing case. And so now you can actually either have a workflow go over to the person responsible for contact tracing, or we can actually start the case here as Anna, which is what I'm going to do for you today, so that we can take a look at what that would look like. So I actually already started this case for Craig so that you can see what we are collecting and how this actually works. So now we've already run the diagnostics, and the diagnostics is key here from a contact tracing perspective, because as you can see, we can pull information from a variety of sources, things such as the base, space reservations. We can integrate with Office 365, so pulling in meeting information. We can pull in badge reader information, so those entrances and exit swipes. All of this information is being pulled in based on where Craig has been and who he's met with. And so below here, we can see all of the impacted users, because these are the people that were either at the same base, use the same office space or desk, was in the meeting with Craig. So with all of this information, we can really see who we need to then connect with. Actually, sorry about that. Let me go back here. On this case as well, we can actually see, sorry about that. We can also see that these individuals are going to be part of this contact tracing case, and they're impacted based on collaborating with him, the location, and actually we can also enter manually. If we know that maybe he had lunch with someone in the cafeteria, we can also share that information. Now, as we start working on this case, those 4 impacted users are actually going to be put in a status of under investigation. And when that happens, if they were to come to the entrance, they would actually be denied automatically based on that under investigation status. Now, as the information goes out to the contact tracers, they'll then start interviewing each one of these individuals. And if they get cleared, that status will change so that they can enter the workforce as well. And we know that they're not going to expose anyone else moving forward. Okay, let's switch gears here for a little bit and start to look at the workspace. So this is another dashboard where Anna can see the occupancy levels and how many workspace reservations there are, as well as how many cleaning tasks, even ad hoc cleaning tasks. So maybe we want to start looking at those spaces Craig was in and add some additional extra sanitation tasks. We can do that as well. But from Anna's perspective here, she's looking at that holistic view and seeing all of that information. Here's some desk reservations. And if we look at the desk reservations, let's just drill into one. You can see that we store, everything from, the site or the base, the campus, the building, the floor, the actual space. And so on this, we can really start to take a look at this information. And as we start to look at this particular location, let's actually drill down and just show this one location. We can start to look at everything from, are there individuals who have reservations at this particular location in this space? You can set up your schedules or your shifts to be, as I mentioned earlier, could be, an 8 to 12 shift or a Monday, Wednesday, Friday shift, however you want to define that. This one I've actually got a week-long shift or 2-week-long shift where Crystal is in for 2 weeks and then she's at home for 2 weeks and Rick comes in and fills this particular space. Now with this space, key things here is we want to make sure that we've got cleaning tasks associated with that space, because when Crystal and Rick come in, we want to make sure that we've got everything sanitized. So here you can see that we've got some pre-cleaning tasks. We also have some post-cleaning tasks. Pre-cleaning might be just, spray everything down. Post-cleaning might be that stringent, very sanitized approach where we have a checklist. Make sure you're wiping the desktop, you're sanitizing the phone, the keyboard, the monitor. This is all configurable by what you desire to have as part of your process, your cleaning process. Now, the other thing too is you might have some places where there's a third party that's actually managing the cleaning piece. We can store that information. We can actually also have a sign-off template. So if you have that third party do the sanitizing, you want them to actually sign off that they have completed those tasks. One last thing for Anna is PPE. She wants to actually watch and manage the PPE inventory. So at the top here, she's got some key metrics that she's watching. Below are some reports to help her see where there's stock, where we're low, who's requesting PPE. We even have stock rules where we can define the level of stock that we want to have at each of the locations. So at each base, we may set a specific threshold that we don't want the stock to drop below. And if it does drop below, we have automated workflows that can go ahead and place that order to ensure that we get the right equipment to the right location when it's needed. So again, we've just gone through a couple of different dashboards from Anna's perspective to look at all the things around PPE, the workplace, the reservations. Now let's look at our final experience, Maria. So Maria, as I mentioned, is the manager, right? And so, she's ready to go back to work. She's got some targeted content. She really wants to track and understand the status of her team. And she might need to do some additional things like ordering PPE for her team. So here's Maria. She's on her dashboard. She's got the information that's being pushed to her because we know that she's a manager. We've gathered that information from her HR profile, and we're giving her information like leading from home, managing her team. But more importantly for Maria right now is she wants to look at the return to work process for her airmen. And so here she can see the team's health screening results. So are they being admitted to the base? And if they're not, maybe she discovers that everybody's forgetting their PPE equipment. She has the ability right here to go in and actually order that PPE. So now she says, okay, you know what? I'm going to get a couple of extra masks for my team. I've got that ability right here. I've got 5 people, and go ahead and submit that. And then I can get back to work. The other thing with Maria is that she really is being pushed information based on either the crisis that's happening, her role. Here's a knowledge base that's really helping to guide her as her employees are coming back. Some tips for discussing what's going on, some workplace guidance. So as we wrap up Maria, we're really taking all of the information that I've shown you in this one complete solution. So going back to where we started with Ryan, right? And following those guidelines set for opening up America, making sure that you're monitoring your airmen, your civilians, your contractors for indicative systems, having, you know, procedures and tracking mechanisms in place to handle all of it. So being able to engage with airmen, being able to automate the steps and provide safe workplace. So with that, I'll hand it back over to Ryan for a couple of key takeaways.
Yeah, thank you, Pamela. I know we're coming up on the 10-minute mark here. Big takeaways from the demonstration from Pamela. First one is that this is a product that is available today from ServiceNow. So this is not an art of the possible. This is not something that you could build. This is available as a series of applications. It's available on browser, and Pamela showed us some examples of a browser experience, but it's also enabled on mobile as well. A lot of this is very fluid and ever-changing every single day, so mobile is obviously very important. It is also designed to be deployed within a few days. We're averaging around 10 to 15 hours of implementation services to actually deploy this, because this is a physical, real productized application from ServiceNow. And that also means it has its own roadmap. And it's focused on, one, employee readiness, but also workplace readiness, because those two combined really create a safe working environment. We are doing 2-week sprints as far as enhancements go. So every 2 weeks, we are rolling out new enhancements to this application. Again, it's a very dynamic, fluid situation, which requires us to be very innovative on behalf of our customers. There's also a product management team behind all of us at ServiceNow. They are available to support not only us, but to help our customers as well. And for those that do know ServiceNow or are using ServiceNow, this is built on the ServiceNow platform, so it leverages that workflow engine with ServiceNow, which means it's easily extensible to meet any other unique needs you might have within your base or within your command. So we're going to stop there, and then Pamela's going to come back and walk us very quickly through the roadmap and the overall themes for this application.
Thanks, Ryan. I do have to say safe harbor, because whenever we talk about futures, we do need to make this statement that these are forward-looking statements and ideas. But basically, there are 3 main buckets that we're focused on: health and readiness, workplace service delivery, and then contact tracing and exposure management. Now, in this first area, health and readiness, we're making improvements around handling visitors who come to the base, adding additional status workflows, as well as really handling the time zone support, because we know that, you know, you have global bases, and so they're all in different time zones, right? In the workplace service delivery area, we're focused on things like flow scheduling. So here we're talking about like cafeterias, arrival areas, elevators, places that are not a desk or a conference room, but where people gather. Also, we're continuing to create a more enhanced experience for managers and more workspace assignment automation. And further down the road, there's going to be more focus that's going to be placed on the reservations, workplace request management, visitor and event management as well. Now, and finally, in the contact tracing and exposure management area, we're looking to make improvements around privacy for the airman or for the civilian, case security, data retention, as well as a bit more around visualization, right? We saw visualization with the workspace planning, but visualization for contact tracing. So even when visitors come, we'll be able to have that. And then even further into the future, we're looking at things like Wi-Fi access point data integration, mobile location data integrations, and compliant management, all things that, you know, customers have been talking to us about. At ServiceNow, we really take that customer feedback seriously. We incorporate as much as we can so that we're really giving customers what they really need in a solution. So now I just gave you a very broad brush of the futures. If you're interested, we'd be happy to have a deeper discussion in any of those areas and also go deeper into the application. So with that, I'll hand it back over to Ryan.
Yep. Thank you, Pamela. We have about roughly 7 minutes left. Venkat, are there any open items, open questions from the Q&A? I know that the team has been monitoring them.
It looks like there are no open questions at this time. since we have about 7 minutes left before the end of the hour, just want to open up the floor to allow anyone to add questions to the Q&A. I know our team will be on the line to respond to any questions or do a deeper dive of any feature that anyone has questions on.
Sure. And we're also more than happy to have one-off conversations. I know we touch on it from a very high level. The devil is always in the details, so we're more than happy to have follow-up conversations and drill into certain topics in a little more detail.
Absolutely. And so for folks who do need to drop from the call, we want to thank you very much for attending this brief. Please feel free to add any other additional questions or to follow up with our team as as you have additional questions in the future for either more demonstration or to discuss. And for those who need to drop, we'll just wish you a great, happy weekend and happy Independence Day, happy 4th of July.